Welcome to Untrashed. My name is Martinez, or otherwise known as Dr. Da Vinci. And what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be making a dragon. And we're going to be using trash. So I'm going to take this milk bottle, and I'm going to take this shopping bag. I'm going to use the label from the milk bottle. And I'm going to be using a few basic tools that you probably have at home. And a bit of hot glue gun. So let's get started. So looking at this milk bottle, what I want to do is I want to look at how the shapes are and what parts of this I can make into a dragon. So because I've done this once before, I know what I'm doing. So I'm going to take my marker and I'm going to look at it like this from the side. So I like the way that this part might be the neck. This part might be some part of the neck that goes into the body. This part here is the back of the dragon, and these are going to be the wings. So the wings are going to be open up like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the parts that I'm going to cut. So I'm going to cut around this part like this, and I'm going to cut around this part like this. And then this part is the shoulders. So the wings go from here. So I'm going to go like this. Down to that wing. And I'm going to go like this. Down to that wing. So I'm going to cut that with scissors, but the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the bottom of the bottle off because it's going to be easier to cut with scissors. So more than likely everybody's got a craft knife at home or a utility knife. So I'm going to use this knife. I'm going to cut the bottom of the bottle off. Okay, and you always have to be careful where your fingers are because you don't want to get blood on your dragon. It's just kind of messy. So after you've cut the bottom off, just like that, and we're going to put that just there for now. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is cut the wings loose. I'm going to cut this like this. Up to that point here, and this is where it gets really hard for the scissors, so I'm just going to cut right up to there and leave that. So then I'll cut this other part, and cut right to that part here. I'll take my craft knife and I'll cut that part to meet where the scissors cut. Okay, so that part is loose. I'm going to cut this part loose next. This part is kind of tricky and you have to be careful because the milk bottle is kind of stiff. So you have to be careful where you hold your fingers to cut this plastic. And here we go. We've got this part already. So there we have it. Look at this. We've got wings of a dragon already. So now what we're going to do is we're going to shape the bottom of the wings to look a bit more like dragon. So you can either draw this on, or you can just cut it by hand. This is entirely up to you because this is your dragon. So I'm going to draw on here because I have an idea of what I think I want this one to look like. So I'm going to shape the wings like this. Okay. See, does that look like dragon wings? It does to me. So now I'm going to take my scissors and cut that piece right on that line. And it doesn't have to be perfect, because you can always make more dragons, especially if your family drinks a lot of milk. So I'm going to cut this like this. Cut the other one. Like this. Okay. So I'll put those just to the side, and voila, we have dragon already. So that's one part we're going to do. The other part that we're going to make is we're going to use shopping bags. Every time you go to the supermarket, you always come back with a shopping bag. And if you get the paper ones, they're a bit easier to recycle. So because this program is about untrashed, every bit of untrashed helps. So we're going to tear these off, and we're going to save these. So I'll show you what we can do with those later. So then I'll take my kitchen shears, and I'm going to cut the bottom of the bag off, just like this. Because what we want is we want some sheets of paper. And you don't have to go to the craft store to buy it, because you've got it all in your trash can, or you've got it and somebody wants you to throw it away. But we're not going to throw it away, we're going to use it. So, the good thing about paper bags is they're easier to recycle, and at some point later on in the series I'm going to show you how to make some paper from shopping bags and all the junk mail that your parents get that can be recycled. So, there you go. Now we have a big sheet of paper. We're going to cut that and just lay that right there. And we're going to use this part to color the wings. This is where it gets a little bit messy. So I'm going to use my red marker. I'm going to hold this down with this awl, because the last time I got my fingers all red. And I'm just going to color this in. And you can use any color you like, or you can do this in patterns. This is entirely up to you. Okay, so we're doing that like this. Do this other wing. I'm going to do the body in a little bit different manner this time. Okay, so there we have a bit of color. Now remember, this is just a start because we've only got 30 minutes to do this. So So I'm just going to give you a head start, and then you can do the rest, or you can add as much as you like later on. So now I'm going to take this part of the bag, and I don't need quite this much, so I'm going to cut it in half. I'm going to show you how to roll it into a tube easy. I'll take this paper and I'll just leave it there. So this is a trick I learned when I was using a lot of paper to make all kinds of stuff. And you want to roll the paper. So some people just do this and roll it, and what happens is the paper wants to fold out. So here's a trick I learned on how to get the ends curled. So you take it to the edge of your kitchen table, you hold the paper like this. The part that you want to the outside of the roll you put up. So you take this and you hold your arm like this, and you pull the paper straight down. And you do that a couple times. Turn that around. And the more you do it, you can see the paper wants to curl up. So this part is the most curled, so I'm going to leave that on the outside. I'm going to take this part here. I'm just going to roll it into a tube. Just like that. So now I'm going to take this tube and I'm going to see if it fits through the hole of the neck of this dragon. And look at that, it fits. So that fits, so I'm going to leave that there. And the label on the milk bottle, I cut it up into strips to use as sticky tape. So you don't have to buy any sticky tape for this project. So I just cut it up into strips, and I put it right here so it's easy to I can get to. I'll do that end. I'll do some in the middle. Like this. So, oh, and the other thing I wanted to tell you is the way that I got this off of the milk bottle is I put my milk bottle in the sun to get it hot, and when it gets hot, the adhesive that they put on this is not as strong, so you have to just gently peel it away, and it takes a bit of patience, but you can watch it come off until you can get the whole thing off. Then you can cut it up and use it as sticky tape. So, I've got this part of the dragon, that's the body. This is the part that's going to stick through this hole. And this part is going to become the tail. So what I'm going to do is before I put this in here, and it's easier to handle, I'm going to take my kitchen shears and I'm going to cut the back of this like this. And these are going to be sort of like the tail end of the dragon. So I'm going to cut this bottom part off. And you've got this part here that is your dragon tail. So you can do a couple things with this. You can fold it to make it look like a scale. Just like that. So I'm going to leave that like that because I think that looks pretty cool. So now I'm going to take this part And I'm going to put it into the neck of the dragon. And I'm going to make sure that where this part is just before these scales or feathers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to also cut a little V in here, so it's going to be easier to glue onto the tail. Okay, so that little curve there is going to fit better on here. So I've turned my hot glue gun on. So now I'm going to put this in here like this. And you can see that we have dragon body, dragon wings. So I'm going to put some hot glue to glue the milk bottle plastic onto the paper. So the thing about hot glue is you don't want to put too much on, because then it takes too long to cool and too long to stick. You just want to put enough on that it's going to stick for now. And then you have to just wait a little bit, and you can blow on this just to make sure that it doesn't pop off. Okay, so this takes a little while for that hot glue to cool down. So the other thing you can do is you can take your awl and you can spread it out. Okay, so that's stuck now. So with this part of the dragon, you can do different things. And I'm just going to take the paper and I'm going to crease it a bit more. Because I like the way that fanning looks. I might even do a little bit of hot gluing in here. To get those things to stick better. But essentially, this is just playing around with trash. This is just figuring out, what can I do with this material? What can I do with this paper and this polypropylene plastic? So here we have this dragon. So the next thing I'm going to do before I go any further is I'm going to make a stand that I can mount this dragon. So what I've done is I've got some cardboard from a box. Put my dragon there. And I'm going to make a platform that is going to hold the dragon up. So I'm going to give it a bit of shape. So let's say I want it about that long. And rather than just being square, I'm going to give it a little bit of shape. And you can make this any shape you like. It can be round. But the thing you have to remember is you have to remember that the balance of the dragon is what shapes your platform is. If you make it too small, the dragon's going to nosedive every time. So I'm going to make this oblong. So that's the first piece. I'll get my pencil. Trace this. I'm going to cut this one a bit smaller. So this is the very bottom piece. This one's going to go on top of there. So it's going to be sort of stepped. So I take this one, take another piece of cardboard, place this on there like that. Right, cut this one a bit smaller. So now I've got 3 layers. Got 3 layers like that. I'm going to hot glue those together. Like this. Take my scraps and I'm going to cut some little rectangles. I'm going to glue those together. I'm going to glue them right on here first. So you start with your biggest ones and put those down first. And you want to put the smallest ones on last. And the reason we're doing this is we're going to use a bamboo skewer to hold your dragon up. So what we want to do is we want to make something tall enough that can hold the bamboo skewer so it doesn't fall over. So now you have that thick a platform to hold your dragon up. So we're going to take your awl and you're going to punch a hole right in the middle of this tallest part here, straight down. Okay, and it's always good to do this on a cutting mat. I have a cutting mat here so I don't mess up the table if you're working on the kitchen table or the dining room table. So now that I've got that hole, I can put my bamboo skewer in there. And that's pretty strong. So it's going to hold my dragon up really well. So now, I'm going to look at my dragon. I'm going to say, what's the balance point here? See, so right under the wings is just about the right balance point. So I'm going to take my awl and I'm going to carefully punch a hole through the paper until it goes all the way through. And once you can see the point of your awl come through the other side, you can take your bamboo skewer, push it through, okay, there we go. So I'm just going to put a dab of hot glue on here so it doesn't come off. So there we go. We have the beginnings of a dragon here. So it needs a little bit more of a head. So let's take something like some of this aluminum from one of those croissant trays or Danish tray, and I'm going to make the head out of that. So I want that to be about that long. So I'll take my kitchen shears and I'll cut this like this. Take the other part of this, cut it about the same length. And then I'm going to make this look like a dragon jaw. So this stuff's really cool because it's easy to fold with your fingers. So that's going to be one jaw. This will be the other jaw. I'm going to put the big one on the top. And I'm going to put the hot glue right on the threads of the milk bottle. Take that aluminum foil here. And just hold that on there a little bit. Do the same thing with the bottom part here, but I'm going to put the glue on the aluminum part and then stick it on. That's hot. Okay. So here we go. We have dragon. Let's get the wings to stand out a bit. So I'm going to take another bamboo skewer. I'm going to put it just under the wings. Oh, here's the other thing I want to show you. The way the bottle has been made, they've made these shapes to hold the bottle that shape. If you take your fingers and you push the plastic in, you can get it to change shape. Which is like this. This part here, I'm going to take my thumb and push it the opposite way. See, and the wings already want to stand up by themselves, but I'm going to give them a bit of help with this bamboo skewer here. I'm going to take the bamboo skewer here, and I'm going to put just a dab of hot glue between the skewer and the plastic. That is hot. We'll just take our time. We won't rush this. I'm also going to glue the bamboo skewer to the paper so it doesn't move around quite so much, so easy. Okay, so there we have one untrashed dragon. So what did we have to buy? We had to buy some hot glue. We had to pay for some electricity to heat up our hot glue. We had to buy a few tools, but we didn't have to buy too many tools, and quite often you have a lot of it at home. So we still have a bit of trash, and you can hang on to those and figure out what you're going to do with them next, or you can throw them away because you have too much of it. So there you go. So I want to thank you for watching, and just remember, every little bit of Untrashed helps. Thanks again.